I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, December the 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, a day that will live in infamy. Brought to you in part by Safeguard. Is your dewormer working? That's what Safeguard wants to know. Text the word SAFE to the number 48109. You can receive a free fecal test kit for your cattle and be entered to win 100 doses of Safeguard pellets and a feed bunk. Finishing the year strong, and I think we're going to do that. We don't have a whole lot of time left here, and in fact this week is the last week that your packers will be buying for a full week's kill. So if we're going to make hay, we need to do it this week. There were some people rumored around saying we might get 150 by the end of the year, but I think we could realistically get 145 this week on some top quality cattle. And then as we go through the 2 short weeks there at the end of the month, I'd say just kind of holding steady would be the best that we could hope for. But of course we take the best that we can get. Did have a few basis jumpers, puke some cattle in Iowa at 140 on Monday, but not enough to really establish the market, so it shouldn't hurt things at all. But we're going in here with a head of steam. The last 4 weeks combined have been some of the highest pure negotiated cash sales that we've had in quite some time. Now we did have a week or a run similar to that last year, a 4-week run there, but other than that you got to go all the way back to 2012 to see the kind of numbers that we've been running here in a lump sum in a month's period of negotiated cash. That just goes to show you that the negotiated cash is where it's at if you want to gain ground and you want to you get price discovery. Now we did hear on Monday that there is scheduled to be a vote on the cattle contract library bill before the end of the year, I guess. And how it got slipped through, of course it's going to be looked at I guess the same time that they're going to look at LMR or mandatory price reporting to renew that, which they normally renew that for 5 years, but the last year or two they've just been doing it for 1 year at a time, been trying to get some other things lumped on there. We need that cattle contract library bill, but you know, for the most part that cattle contract library bill is in the compromise bill. We really need that. What that cattle contract library bill does not include anything about minimum negotiated cash trade mandates, which is what we've been fighting for so long. And so you know, even though we need it, it's a good deal. You know, why not just go ahead and pick up the compromise bill, push it through, then we can get the cattle contract. But the cattle contract library bill itself includes a few other things there. It also has grants included in there to help with risk management and things like that, which would help, and we've got some things kind of like that going here the last year or so. It also is going to define negotiated grid as far as mandatory price reporting goes. Right now the negotiated grid, and some people call it bid the grid, and you've seen your packers start assigning more head counts to that negotiated grid deal, but there's no really strong definition of what a negotiated grid is, so they can throw about anything in there, and they're trying to pass that off as pure negotiated cash, which it's not. But it is the second best way to sell cattle, because you know, if it is done by the book, there is some negotiating that goes on. But if you know, if they're just throwing it in the negotiated grid to make it look like there's more negotiated trade out there, that's not good. And I feel like that's what they're doing, because we've been seeing such high volumes of negotiated grid turned in, and things haven't really changed that much. And I'm not just talking about the last 3 or 4 weeks here where we've seen a lot of negotiated pure cash, but I'm talking about for the last 6-8 months a year that we've been talking about getting a bill pushed through that includes minimum negotiated cash mandates. But you know, like I said, it'd be a good thing to get done, but we can't miss this opportunity to get that compromise bill done, something that has some type of a minimum negotiated cash in there with it. But also we saw on Monday that Tyson Meats has announced that they're going to be giving away some bonuses to the frontline workers, the ones that have been, they got back up through the pandemic and were able to get them, to work and keep their processing up at a decent level there. Now they did pay most of those people that went in and got the vaccination $200 for that. But just to go to show you how many people work for Tyson up on the front lines, that $50 million is going to equate to $300 to $700 bonuses there at Christmas time, which it sounded a lot more impressive when we said 50 million than $300 to $700. But still, that's a good thing, and it's going to make a difference for the Christmas for some of those frontline workers, and they probably don't get near enough credit. But we're going to finish the year strong here, and let's talk about your board to start the week out. December live cattle futures were up 50 cents, so that was good. They didn't close that basis, but it was up a little bit, 138.17, and that's still a pretty far cry from 142, which was our last established market as far as the Southern Plains goes on a one price cash market. February up 70 cents at 139.65. You go on your back months, and they were down some a year out on the very back farthest out months, down 22 cents to up 72 more nearby. Feeder cattle futures, January was up $1.12 at 165 1/4. March up 85 cents at 167.95. Your back months were all higher, from up 72 cents to up $1.10. Weighted average on last week's negotiated fat cattle trade on a direct basis in your 5-area feeding region, 97,400 head. That compares to 95,000 the previous week and only 74,600 the same week a year ago. But we've been getting up there close to 100,000 or above that for the last month or so, and man, it's really made a difference and bringing about some competition. And like I said, we had to get in this position with really short supplies of market-ready cattle to get your packers to participate. But luckily, we've had cattle sellers participating in that too, and it's brought about some some pretty good trade here. Your live sales of steers and heifers last week ranged from 135 to 142.50. Weighted average on live steers in your 5-area, 140.44. That was up $2.27 compared to the previous week's weighted average. Dress sales steers and heifers ranged in price from $215 to $221, with a weighted average on dress steers at $219.97. That's way up there now. $220, we couldn't get that before. We had over 11,000 head of cattle sell dressed at $220 and above. So that's significant, and it brought that weighted average on dress steers all the way up just 3 cents shy of $220, and that was up almost $4 compared to the previous week, up $3.96 on your dress steers. Nationwide, we had pure negotiated cash sales of 112,000. Negotiated grid sales reported 43,400 head. If we'd happen to get something in that would mandate a definition for those negotiated grids, there wouldn't be near as many of them. Formula sales last week, 251,200 head. We've got to get that cut back and start negotiating more on cattle. Those 251,200 head of formulas were almost 50,000 more than last week, so than the previous week that we're reporting on. But of the 112,000 pure negotiated cash sales, about 23.5% of them were for the 2 to 4 week delivery. Now, I don't think the packers can wait that long for them. I think they might have bought them that far out, and they're going to use them and be able to kind of have them in loose hands there, or grab them when they need to, depending on what kind of kills they get pushed through during the holidays. But that is just a sign that they're trying to get this wild market under wraps here, as they're trying to buy a few more cattle for 2 to 4 week delivery to help them fill their needs that they're not getting filled already through formulas and AMAs and things like that. So they'll be able to kind of stamp out this higher market. And we're actually lucky we've been able to keep this thing going as long as we have. Box beef cutout values were lower to start the week. Choice cuts 270, 253 down $1.83. Selects 257.85 down 79 cents. Talk about what else is going. We got a new sponsor here on the Feeder Flash, Southwest Commodities out of Farwell, Texas. Farwell, Texas, a place I've been through a million times, going over there to Clovis for many years. It's just right on the line going into eastern New Mexico, right at Clovis there. But Farwell, Texas, of course, Southwest Commodities can help you with your hedging needs or any of your commodity trading needs wherever you're at. But it's Hadley Bunch there, and get a hold of them. And they're specializing in grain and cattle hedging. They could open you a speculative account there if that's what you're interested in doing. Give you advice on what they feel like the market's doing. They're right out there in the feedlot areas, and also sell the LRP policies and can give you some advice on when you should take a strike on those. But get a hold of Southwest Commodities. Talk about your feeder cattle markets. Beaver County Stockyards here on Tuesday is going to have 3,500 head. Going to have about 1,200 true yearlings in the bunch. A lot of weaned calves, Jeff Slatton told me, and then of course a lot of top quality calves right off the cow, which they're a little bit easier to straighten up now that we've got deeper into the year. But really good set of cattle there offered with Beaver County Stockyards. If you want to view and bid that sale, get on to dvauction.com and you can do that. Call them a little ahead of time and set up if you want to get approved to bid through DV Auction there. But tell you what, they've been doing a really good job. They've got people hauling strings of cattle in there from Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, and all over Oklahoma. Just in the last few months here, and really getting along good there. So if you guys are looking for a market to sell out in no man's land on the eastern side, get a hold of Beaver County Stockyards. Talk about your real-time index, which is your 7-day moving average of 7 to 899 pound steers up through the middle 12 states, just like your cash CME feeder cattle index price. Real-time index is a lot more current, and through Monday's sales, late Monday, sitting at 159.76, up 44 cents, so right there really close to 160 based on an 800 pound steer. You look at some of your high volume sales on Monday, Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 18,000 head of cattle. Be one of the biggest runs they've had in a long time. Now, same week a year ago, they had just shy of 17,000, but they've been getting along really good there, and it's just great to see that market getting the big runs right in there in Oklahoma City, within the city there. But they've got that thing fixed up now where it's not hard to get those cattle in there. A lot of times you hear about a market that's within a city, and you think about the pains trying to get trucks in there. You can go in there on 15th or go in there right off I-40 there, and it's not a hard place to unload cattle or load cattle, and the way that they handle things there, they get along really smooth there. And who else is going to sell 18,000 cattle in one day? Now, they'll be selling until the sun comes up here on Tuesday morning, but still they're getting them sold. Feeder steers steady to $3 higher. Feeder heifers run evenly steady. Steer calves $2 to $4 higher. Heifer calves $2 to $5 lower. But the heifer calves were disproportionately higher last week, so you kind of figured that they needed to kind of retract just a little bit there. But took it some quotes out of Oklahoma National Stockyards through National Livestock Commission there that shares their information here with us at Cattle Market Central and with Feeder Flash. But National sold 52 head 425 pound steer calves at $228. Now that's a big time quote for anywhere, let alone central Oklahoma. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards? 10,400 head there. Big run for them. For the most part, the steers and heifers sold steady to $4 higher. Now your lighter steers weighing under 5.5 from $5 to $10 higher. But really good sale there in Joplin, and they also had the top quote for the day that I'm going to tell you about here at the end, like I always do. But how about Southern Plains Livestock Auction in Blackwell, Oklahoma? That's Lance Cochran there. Don't have them set up automated, but he told me about some cattle that sold really well there in north central Oklahoma. 143 head of 926 pound home raised all black, really fancy steers there, bring $164.75. How about Faith Livestock in Faith, South Dakota? 6,300 head of feeder cattle there on Monday for them. You won't see this market report anywhere but here unless they want to pay for it. But look at this automated market report out of Faith. Mostly all light calves, as you see there. They're still selling them. But I tell you what, really getting a price on them. How about your best tested weight? 1,753 head of 5-weight steer calves in Faith, average 548 with a weighted average price of $193.26. Very impressive. That's on all your 5-weight steers there, $193.26. How about 1,003 head of 6-weight steer calves in Faith, average 636 with a weighted average price of $178.66. Then look at some heifers. 1,013 head of your 5-weight heifer calves in Faith, South Dakota, average 543 pounds with a weighted average price on all your 5-weight heifers, and they'd be the best quality you could get, of $167.24, which is impressive enough, but it's still $25 back of what your steers averaged in the same weight category. So be thinking about that when you're buying strings of cattle. So much back on your heifers. Needs to be more than that now that we're getting the prices up there. But the best quote that I saw anywhere, the biggest quote that I saw anywhere, and your Zactran top quote for the day, come out of Joplin Regional Stockyards. Now you look at these, and I took a picture there from your DV auction console there. 641 head. Now, of course, they couldn't get them all in the ring there, but had to fill it about 20 times. But 641 head of these cattle, and they were all black. I watched them in. It seemed like they were just bringing them right around the block and back in. But every bunch in there was all black, you know, and maybe have just a few sprinklings of motley faces in them or black baldies. But 641 head of these good, true yearlings off the grass, weighing 850 pounds, bring $170. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.